All right, welcome. This is Black Lodge Trivia Night. I'm Art, and I'm gonna take a look at Dark Souls. Now, I know I've been playing Dark Lands, and I'm gonna absolutely keep playing that, but it has been a hell of a week/weekend, and I find these games strangely relaxing. Doing it off camera, I think, is gonna make it a little easier as well. So I thought I would get into this a little bit, you know, play it like I played the other Souls games, where it's more the if I can do it, anybody can, not the pinnacle of getting good. So let's get started. Let us start a new game. And, again, enter a character name. And then... So here's the first choice, right? In the end, none of these matter. A good standard starting one is the Pyromancer, just because, not Sorcerer, the Pyromancer. You get a pretty good weapon, you get a good spell. Basically, you get a little bit of everything to get you started. It's not something I'm going to stick with, but there you go. The Cleric, I don't know. You know, having an 11 and everything actually might not be the worst because of... plus you get that sweet, sweet loincloth. This feels like the stupidest option, so I'm going to go with that. Now for the gift, here's an interesting thing. There is... The obvious answer, if you're a speedrunner, you might take the Black Fire Bomb. I'm going to take the Master Key. Old Witch's Key is an interesting one that we can get to later. I don't know if I've ever played this game and taken this Witcher's Ring. Probably part of me should at some point, but for now I'm going to take the Master Key. And I'll get into that. I don't care about physique. I don't... So, you know, this game came out in like 2012 or something. You got to remember, this is like I don't know what's going on here. It's very dubious, though. I guess I'll be a Far East traveler. I don't know. Hair. Receding seems like it's hitting a little too close to home. I'll just stick with shaved. And then color. I'm going to make it dark purple for my bald head. Okay. And we are going to accept this and get started.
In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead.
Seems like a dubious distinction.
The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty gods peeled apart their stone spears. The witches weaved great firestorms,
So the interesting thing about watching this, I haven't watched this in forever, and you sort of forget just how much stuff is actually packed into the story-wise. Something that
Thus began the Age of Fire.
I'm kind of always surprised at in Souls games. It's like, oh yeah, no, they talk about all this. Okay. It's not quite
But
as
soon
nebulous.
the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers, and man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark side.
I have to say, unlike your lineup of superheroes, you got Nito, the first undead, Gwyn, Lightning Bolt Man,
Yes,
this guy,
indeed.
and then the
The
furtive
dark
pygmy
side
feels like
brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
all right. And that is the intro. This is going to be the remastered edition. You might have been able to tell from one, it looks decent. For Dark Souls 2, it's pretty smooth. I think it's the 60 frames per second. But, so, yeah, the thing I like about that opening is a couple things. One, is still, like, Elden Ring has beautiful music. And it's the only one of the games that has, like, ambient soundtrack. So it needs to have, beautiful music that you're listening to all the time. So this is still the age of the gonzo, wah, 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 kind of vocals and everything. I love this right here. It's sort of like, oh, what's going on here? If you've played Demon's Souls, I think you could probably make a connection to, I think, like the creature you die to in the tutorial has this kind of look, but maybe not quite. But you're kind of like, oh, okay, something's going on, obviously. So it immediately teases you with, something, foreshadowing and and this guy. You know what? I'll join you. I get it, pal. This also feels like it's hitting a little too close to real life. So, we start off as a depraved, so we got our sweet loincloth thong going on. Is this guy gonna attack us or leave us alone? So, obviously, Dark Souls is the follow-up to Demon's Souls. Demon's Souls, I think I might have mentioned my Demon's Souls playthrough at some point. Like, the guy who's like the head of Sony or somebody was like, oh, this is the worst video game I've ever played. And obviously the fans did not think so. I imported my copy. I was so desperate to try it out. I guess I'll sit. And it did well enough, luckily, to get a sequel. That sequel, obviously, is Dark Souls. And Dark Souls, I think, is the first time people went like, oh, shit. It really puts the game and the whole series on the map. You can sort of see up top, you see something right there. We're going to be dealing with that in a second, but not directly. So it looks sort of similar to the one that we were seeing underground, but that one was up above, so clearly not the same one. So Dark Souls, you know, right off the bat, you get this opening area. Let's get our shield going. I hope I get a better weapon than this broken sword. I was just hoping I'd get like a club. But yeah, you get this sort of opening area that, you know, it's a prison for the undead. And I don't claim to be a lore master on any of this stuff. There's bonfireside bonfireside chat, and things like, you know, Vatavidia. You know, definitely go. I mentioned those places during the Demon Souls, and I'll link to them again here because they're absolutely worth checking out if you're into this stuff. But you have this sort of prison for the undead to await the end of the world. First of all, like that is a sort of horror that I kind of like's the wrong word, right? But so you can see here's a broken staircase. Can't get up to it again. Foreshadowing, and you can sit there and you're like, oh, why not? It's teasing you with things that, you know, are. I assume like Metroidvanias kind of do that. You know, it sort of shows you like there's this thing, but then also lets you know you can't get to it quite yet. So this was something I've always kind of wondered. There's a guy sitting in there, and okay, he looks hurt. I was always curious, was he hurt to begin with because of what we're about to do? Or did we bring it about with this trap? It looks like he was already hurt. And it looks like the gentleman that actually we saw above us in our cell who dropped us the key.
Oh, you. You're no hollow. Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I, we're both undead. Hear me out, will you?
I'm dying and I have one wish. Hear these words. No.
Regrettably, I have failed in my mission. But perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family. Thou who art undead art chosen. And thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know. And I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this. An Estus flask. An undead favorite.
All right.
Oh, and this.
Okay.
Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now. And thank you.
So as you leave, you'll watch the soul counter go up. You hear the noise. That sort of tells you it is done. There you go. What was I saying? Oh, so you have this undead prison, and it's sort of the idea of like, hey, you're not dead, but you're gonna have to just sit here for the rest of time. Which seems sort of like, as a concept, like, oh, holy cow, that's bleak. But my understanding is that the reason why this is here is because the undead pose a threat. And not like as a general, like, of course zombies are bad, but like, according to the prophecies, as I get ready to die, you know, the people that are going to disrupt the status quo. Are undead. So they want to keep that from happening. And they do that by, when they find one, they lock them up and say, you know what, we're just going to take him out of the equation. And so we encounter that gentleman who helps us out because he recognizes that while we may be undead, we are not yet hollow. And hollow, the idea of hollow is that you're undead and you sort of just completely lose your mind. File gate usually means boss, so let's give it a shot. Plunging attacks, which is actually something I miss in Elden Ring. I don't know if, I think Demon Souls has it. But again, the vaunted butt stomp. Now, some people take, like, speedrunners, whoops, I was trying to roll through that. Speedrunners will take the black fire bombs or whatever as the early gift because it helps you blow through this guy. I wanted the master key because it lets you sort of sequence break. Oops, I need to build up here. I'm going to get killed. It's a race to the bottom there. There we go. I've actually never played this starting class before, so if you take like the thief, you might even get some fire bombs to make it a little easier. The pyromancer is a good one to start with because you get a good weapon. The axe is a really good weapon, and you also get fireballs, which, you know, you can attack that thing from range. Anyway, so again, we have this prison that locks away the undead, especially the ones that are hollow. But if you're listening, you still hear footsteps. And if you remember, we saw something underground, so we never got a chance to deal with that creature. Now I wonder... So, yeah, in a lot of these games, there's like a creature that you can trade with. And that nest is where it is in this game. But let's get the game started proper.
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen. To leave the undead asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords.
So the knight in armor thought it was going to be him, but he passed away, and he said, hey, maybe you've got a shot.
Lordran.
So, okay, so you're coming off of Demon Souls. That's your only experience with this kind of thing, because that's the only game that had come out, say, back in the day. And here you are, you do that opening level, and instead of getting to a hub world, you're dropped off here. And you're sort of getting the sense that this is a very different kind of game. So first and foremost, let's rest the bonfire. Let's level up. Strength and dex are always good because it's going to help us with weapons. Vitality and endurance are always good because that's health and stamina. Now that ghost there, if you're not familiar with this game, that's another human player. That ghost there is also another human player.
Well, what do we have here? You must be a new arrival.
And like always, you're going to exhaust their dialogue.
Yes, fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first, but there's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the undead asylum. But too late now. Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are actually 2 bells of awakening. One's up above in the undead church. The other is far, far below, in the ruins at the base of Blight Town. Ring them both, and something happens. Brilliant, right? Not much to go on, but I have a feeling that won't stop you. So, off you go. It is why you came, isn't it? To this accursed land of the undead?
So a lot of these games, like one of the staple characters is like they call him like the Forlorn Knight or something like that. There was one in Demon Souls. He just kind of sits on the edge, like, oh, this is hopeless.
Ah, your face. You're practically hollow. But who knows? Going hollow could solve quite a bit.
More kind of foreshadowing in a way.
What? Restoring your humanity? Well, there are a few ways to go about it. Collected bit by bit from corpses. Or you can butter up a cleric and get yourself summoned. And the quickest way, although I never do it, is to kill a healthy undead and pillage its humanity. Coveting thy neighbor is only human, after all.
Now you're going to hear a bell,
What are you looking at?
and that's also something being done by other players. So
Might regret it. What? Oh, that's
okay,
all
let's see.
we
I thought I
need.
exhausted his dialogue.
Inquisitive soul. Well, listen carefully then. One of the bells is up above in the undead church, but the lift is broken. You'll have to climb the stairs up the ruins and access the undead burg through the waterway. The other bell is back down below the undead burg, within the plague-infested Blight Town. But I'd die again before I step foot in that cesspool. Bloody hell, what is it now? You ask too many
So hopefully we've
questions.
finally exhausted his dialogue. I'm just going to double check.
I'm not up.
Okay. So there we go. So first things first. So right off the bat, like compared to Demon Souls, you are given options. You know, you can go down, you can go up, you can look around, you can, you know, find this poor person, you know, locked in a cave. Now, she's a fire maiden. And it might be, I don't know if you remember in the opening cinematic, there was what looked like a woman that I thought had her color hair standing, like, sort of caressing the face of a corpse. So I wonder if that's sort of the same woman. You know, you can go down this way. There's all sorts of ways you can go. And one of the things that Dark Souls brought to the table is maybe one of the best world designs in a video game, like, ever. And I know that's, you know, like, ever, really. Okay. But I think you can make that argument because, and maybe, you know, I love Elden Ring and open world games have done all sorts of things since, but it, for the time, is this incredible tour de force of design. So one thing you can do when you start the game is, what do I got? 759 souls is not a lot. I'm just going to start grabbing stuff. Because there's a few things here that, you know, could be helpful, might not. You know, it doesn't matter. Just grab it. And if you get back, great. And if you don't, doesn't matter. Because you'll have the items at least. Getting some... Nope. This one's a big one. Winged spear is a pretty good weapon. I think the Zweihander is here somewhere. There we go. Again, our goal is not necessarily to survive, but there is a chance we might. It's to just, there we go. It's just to collect the stuff. I think we got most of it. It doesn't really matter if we didn't. I want to see what the stats are on that Zweihander. The Zweihander is a really, honestly, it's a really good weapon. It's a strength of 24. So, like in all these games, you can obviously, if you one-hand it, you need a strength of 24, else you can't wield it. If you two-hand it, it counts your strength at 1.5. So our strength is a 12, so it'd be an 18. So we're not quite there for being able to handle this Zweihander. Okay, so we've gone that way and gotten some stuff. Let's explore the rest of this area and pick up what we can. There's some fire bombs that'll come in handy in a little bit. But so yeah, you don't have the same kind of hub that you can teleport to singular worlds. You sort of get dropped off here with this sort of this very haunting, beautiful melody, and it's one of the few places where there's just ambient music. And again, you know, when it's there, they knock it out of the park, even though they don't need it very often. So we're going to start heading up this way. We're going to meet our next NPC.
Hello there. I believe we are not acquainted. I am Petrus of Thoroland. Have you business with us? If not, I'd prefer to keep a distance.
Okay, says the quiet part out loud there.
Hello there. I realize that I have requested that we retain our distance, but I also want you to know that it is not meant in ill will. Here, take this as a token of peace. No, go ahead. It's for you.
You're a total garbage person, but I don't mean that in a bad way. And to make sure you feel better, here's a piece of shiny trash. Are we good?
Oh my, you again. Oh, I know. How about this? I have to await my companions here anyway. So what if I were to teach you some miracles? Would that please you?
Yeah.
Very well. Then first, a covenant with the gods.
Why not?
Now let me share my miracles. Only their ultimate effectiveness will be determined by your efforts and your faith.
Always going to get those gestures. Let's see what he's got. So we don't have any souls at the moment because we died, of course. But, you know, ones out here that could be useful. Force sort of blows, it pushes things back from you and you can knock things off ledges. That can sort of help. Healing can help because, you know, it keeps you from having to burn through your Estus flasks, which are your healing items in this game. But otherwise, it's not terribly important.
My companions are Milady and her young knights. She is young, but burdened by an undead mission. We are her defenses, to keep her from harm.
So again, a little bit of story here.
An undead mission? Regrettably, I cannot share that with you. But you are my pupil. Perhaps if you show your faith.
Oh, I don't have it.
I'm afraid that may be difficult, for our missions are sacred. I'm afraid that may be
Okay.
difficult.
I wish I had... I don't know if I've ever actually given him the cash right there. But so, he's saying like, hey, I'm waiting for somebody, my lady, we're on a quest. You got the other guy saying, hey, I know you heard there was like this awakening bell that you have to ring. It's actually 2. So you're starting to fill in some of the details of what you've been told. You can hear the bell ringing. That is one of the awakening bells. And one of the interesting things that this game does is that when a player rings it in another game, I think it actually rings it in your game. So it's sort of like this nice little touch. So again, here's like this elevator shaft, and always check down. You never know what you're going to find. And in this case, it's quite possible to stumble across some stuff. So what are we going to get here? We got a Morning Star and a Talisman, which is... Morning Star is a good starting weapon because I think it might have some bleed effect. Cracked red eye orbs if you want to go invade people. I never do that kind of stuff. Homeward Bone lets you teleport out and get back to the last place you were hanging out. And then here's the thing, I always get confused of how to get out of here. And it's this little... Lloyd's Talisman. I think that has something to do with invaders, but you can also use it on a certain kind of enemy. So let's check out this club versus the Morning Star. Club does a little more damage. But, as you can see, that Ox effect, I think that's bleed. So 87 plus 11. So I'm going to take the Morning Star for now. And as you can see, we're sort of above the graveyard that we were at earlier. So what I'm going to actually try and do... See if I can get my souls. Oops, if I can stop spinning around like an idiot. Let's see if I can get out of here. Sort of hung up on the stones. So a lot of things in Souls can be accomplished by just running past it as fast as you can. And Dark Souls is no different. Dark Souls might be one of the epitomes of it, given how everything works. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get back to this bonfire. Because I think I'm being chased, but if I can rest, that resets everything. So now I don't have to worry about everything that I just aggroed. So let's we picked up some souls here, so let's start burning some of these souls. See if we've got enough for a level or 2 before we head out. Level up. Again, I'm doing strength just because I want to use some bigger weapons. I'm comfortable with my body, so I'm not going to worry too much about carrying weight. I'll just go armorless. Although I need a better shield. That'll be something we got to work toward. And so now we're ready to begin. We've sort of explored this opening area, picked up some items, and now if we wanted to, we could speed run some things. You know, there's one of the best things about Dark Souls, and it was sort of the first time, obviously, in the series you could do this, is you could really sequence break. In Demon Souls, you could, I'm going to jump to 4-1 to get the magic, falchion, blah, 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 but in this game, you can truly sequence break. And I can show you. So, like, and that's one of the reasons why you want to pick up the Master Key if you're not familiar with this game at all. So the Master Key allows you to unlock certain doors that you would have had to have found in-game keys for. So, like, I could run down this way and come across an elevator over here. And yeah, let's show you an example of that. So you got this whole thing going on, right? Like, yeah, we're not ready for that. So we're not going to deal with that quite yet. But what we can do is we could run... I remember how to get there. I've played this game like a number of times, and also at the same time I haven't played in a while. I've done a number of Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring runs since. I'm doing this wrong. So you go down one tower, you go up the other, and you come to this gate. Now, I've used the master key. There's other ways to open it, but you gotta sort of find your way through. Maybe there aren't. I don't know. I've always opened that with the master key. And now I can sequence break. Like, I can run here to Blighttown. You know, they're talking about how you go up to ring one bell, you go down to Blighttown to ring the other. There's a back entrance to Blighttown that you can get to if you wanted to skip the normal way to get there. Now, one reason why I might want to skip the normal way, if I can remember where it is that an armor set that I like is just right around here somewhere. Let me see if I getting chased though. Key to New Londo Ruins. That's good to pick up, but that's not what I'm here for. I was hoping I could just drop down, but maybe. So this is Blighttown. You know, again, like, this is not an area we're meant to come to first. But we can, because we picked up the master key, and this game, in its own way, is a sort of open world. And, oops. Got the bleed build up there. Okay, so what I'm trying to do, I don't even care if I live. I'm trying to see if, I'm hoping it's close by. But maybe it's part of the, my fear is that it's actually part of the other. So I'm going to die now because of that toxicity. So that's fine. But it gives you an idea of toxicity is like a strong poison. But there you can see. So like I just, you know, because of the master key, I'm able to go to this area that I'm clearly not equipped to deal with yet. But if I were really good at the game, and if I wanted to do certain things in a certain way, you know, there I am. Another reason why you can sequence break. Let me show you. If you sort of have familiarity with the game and you know, hey, I'm going to do this kind of build or that kind of build, let me show you what else you can do over on that area. The other great thing about this game, and again, it's not like open world games, you know, didn't exist before this, but, you know, it's sort of like you can sort of look out and see the world, and it's all, you know, it's one of those things where it's like if you sort of see some of the stuff and you realize later on you can go there, which I know is like you know, I think Todd Howard would say things like that about Skyrim or Oblivion or something, like, oh, you see a mountain, you can go there. Or maybe it was Zelda when they said that about the Breath of the Wild, like now you can see a mountain, you can go there. But in Souls games, you know, like Demon Souls, that's not what it was. It was this fragmented sort of Super Mario style construction. And all of a sudden, you know, you had these, you know, intertwining paths that all sort of have to connect in a way, right? Because it's contiguous and seamless. So they can't cheat and just have you teleport here, teleport there. Well, I mean, I know they did with the Raven at the very beginning, but the rest of it, you know, has to connect in a way. So another thing you can do is you can sequence break by assuming you don't die, but if you do, again, who cares? Now you just got Stora's Straight Sword, which is a great faith weapon, and you've got a really good shield. I don't know what that third item was. So now we can, take a look at that. Dragon Crest Shield, 100% physical reduction. That's great. Great against fire. So we've just upgraded our shield game. Do we lose some souls? Yeah. But who cares? Do we pick up any... Yeah, we picked up some of these. So let's see what this gives us. So that's going to be worth some levels, I think. So let's do that. Level up. Let's get our strength going again. So there we go. So let's start this properly. We could do more sequence breaking. There's other items we could go for pretty quickly, but it doesn't matter if we do right now. So you have two options. They were saying you can go up or you can go down. We want to go up. Up is really the easiest way. One of the things I really have grown attached to in Elden Ring is, I guess it's a good thing we're resistant to fire. I'm going to take this guy on because he's going to cause me problems while I'm dealing with the grenade thrower. He might fall off on his own. Elden Ring has the thing where I'm terrible at parrying, just absolutely terrible. And Elden Ring has the thing where if you get like a tough enough shield, you can get a bounce off, and that can open up an opportunity for like a critical hit. Here, the way it works is like you can get that bounce and you might get a little bonus damage, but it's not quite the same. So now there's an item over there, but I'm really bad. Oh, that wasn't so bad. So the other thing with Elden Ring is because it's a true open world, it lets you jump. This game has a jump, but it's a very awkward mechanic. A Ring of Sacrifice lets you die without losing the souls. So what you have to do is you have to sprint, and then you can set it to be different buttons. Mine is, holding the B button on the Xbox controller to sprint, and then frantically tapping B when I'm trying to jump. And I'm not very good at it, and it becomes a very spastic, which you could probably, I think when I was playing Demon Souls, I mentioned, like, you can hear it on the mic. I'm going like tap, 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 tap. And the reason why I'm furiously tapping is because I'm trying to get it to happen, and I'm panicked that it's not going to work. So they say, you have to enter through the waterway. This is the waterway they were talking about. Again, one of those things where, I don't realize how much they're actually telling you in these games that are known for being cryptic. So here we are in sort of the opening level, the Undead Burg. So, I think I just messed it up. I played this game a lot. And I can tell you probably for my first, I don't know how many playthroughs, I would drop down here, and I never realized you could go in this doorway. I would run right by it. Because for the longest time, I saw this item from above. And it's just a soul of lost undead, right? But for my first 4 or 5 playthroughs, that was the thing I just could not figure out. Like, I don't understand how you get here. I've never been able to find out what that is. What do I do? And then just on one dumb playthrough, somebody put a message here. And that made me stop for a second and look and realize, oh, I've been running past this thing for years. And then I'm like, oh, I finally figured out what this item is. And then you realize it's the most mundane, like $10. And you're like, ah, okay. But still, at least I could sort of have my mind at rest or whatever. Can you knock? Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes you see these hanging guys. And you don't have to... And so, when I was talking about, like, it's not just the open world doubling back, sequence breaking. It's just all these sort of, like, little interconnected passages, pathways, that because they can't just have you teleport back and forth, have to fold in on themselves. And it's quite clever. And the first time I was like, whoa, that was very clever. Happens here in the Undead Burg. It might not happen right away, though. But, there are people that sequence break by sort of jumping over stuff and falling down, and then you can get to other levels. You can sort of see pathways down there that we're going to eventually get to, but not yet, which is, again, something that you didn't get in Demon Souls. This idea of, like, you're seeing something and you're like, in that Metroidvania sort of way. I don't know if I said this when I was playing Demon Souls. I've got 2 kids, and Demon Souls came out in 2008-ish, 2009. I don't know, somewhere around there. And my eldest was very young at that point. And so sometimes I'd be playing something, and he'd wobble in and sort of see me. And I didn't, like, play games in front of them too much. But, like little kids, like, oh, what are their parents doing? They sort of, they want to be interested in it because they want to hang out with you, right? It's touching. And so my son would sort of see me doing this and kind of be like, oh, what's that? I don't know, again, how interested he really was. But what I showed him was like, yeah, it's a game and you fight things and it can be a little scary, like giant dragons. But you can also, and I'll show you in a minute. I respect that all-in attack there. All right. But you can go into a building and you can just roll into everything. And so he came to call it like the barrel smashing game. Not because like of the fighting or anything like that, but the thing that stuck with him was being able to roll into all the furniture and destroy it. He thought that was pretty funny. And then when my youngest got a little, was born and came into the world and et cetera, she also thought that was funny too. So this game, in Demon Souls, you would have to get through the whole level, and then you'd get to the stone that could either take you back to the home base or, continue on here. You have similar sort of checkpoints, a series of these bonfires, and you're trying to make your way through. Obviously, as I said, when you do, it resets everything. And so it sort of makes like where Demon Souls, it feels like you've sort of beaten a level and then the next stone is the next starting point. This really feels like, in my mind, can I kick? It has a better feel to it because you feel like you're going deeper into the abyss or into the darkness, so to speak. Again, barrel smashing. My kids loved it. And it creates sort of like this, and sort of Elden Ring has a similar thing in every game afterwards, because this game sort of defines a lot of what comes next. That's sort of, push your luck, risk versus reward, all that kind of stuff. Again, having this shield here, 100% fire resistance, not 100, it's pretty high fire resistance, great. 100% damage resistance is really great. And again, you're sort of finding all these nooks and crannies to explore and, figuring out how they double back and where they take you. So this is one of those things where earlier, we came across this little gap. And it's one of those things where you spend a lot of time trying to figure out, how do I jump to that platform? You don't do it from down there, you do it from up here. Instead of, early on from the house. And I don't remember what's actually up here. There's a bit of treasure you can get. It probably, this might be like the bow, crossbow, something like that. Light crossbow. Which is a good thing to have just to be able to, like, kite enemies if you're not going to have, like, magic going on. And then once you have to drop back down and deal with everything you've already dealt with. But that's the trick. It's not to jump when you come across the gap initially. It's to... I'll show you where there's a guy here with fire bombs. I better deal with him. Yeah, because what happens is you get up here and you're just like, you do the jump and you miss, and you realize, well, the jumping is a little wonky, so maybe it's me. And so I probably spent 10 minutes trying to figure it out and couldn't. I don't know if what this message says. Imminent jumping, yeah, but it's not, not yet. And then again, this is where we were going before we got sidetracked. So we want to go back down these stairs because there is a merchant here that we want to talk to. So we went that way before. Here's a merchant.
Well now, you seem to have your wits about you, hmm? Then you are a welcome customer. I trade for souls. Everything's for sale.
So let's talk to him and exhaust his dialogue.
Things are getting treacherous in these parts. A horrible goat demon has moved in below. And up above, there's that humongous drake and a bull demon too. If you stick around this place, it might end up being your grave.
So he's filling us in. There's some stuff going on. We've encountered the drake.
We talk business or we talk nothing at all.
So he sells a couple of really useful items that you want to get. One is this orange guidance soapstone, because that allows us to write messages to help out other players. He sells some keys that we want to get. So we're going to need, we got the soapstone, and we're going to want to buy all three of these items. So we're going to need another 5,000 souls at some point. We're all set, honestly, for a weapon and shield, but if you didn't know to go get that shield that I grabbed with sequence breaking and the master key, you want to pick up a heater shield, because that has 100% physical damage resistance. I've got a light crossbow, and a few things, so we're good. We're going to stay naked for now.
What a waste of time.
Because, if we can take the hit with our shield, then we're okay. We might get staggered or whatever, but... Wooden shield's probably not bad, but again, we've got what we've got, and the heater shield might be better. I was going to rest, but that's just going to reset everything, and I'm not that badly hurt, so let's just keep going. So you sort of want to run through that area because you're going to get firebombed. But then you got to be careful coming in here because it's a bit of an ambush, so you got to sort of be able to take them on one at a time. You know, here's, you're going to come across things like this, but you can't. And again, it's sort of that Metroidvania telegraphing, like, hey, you know, at some point you're going to be back here. Just not yet. And I feel like in Demon's Souls, you just sort of moved forward. You know, you could find like little nooks within the moving forward, but here it really pays to make sure you look for all the nooks and crannies. Chests. Remember that chain bending backwards in a curve. Got black fire bombs going. We got regular fire bombs going. All this stuff is going to be very useful in a little bit. Again, you got a little bit of an ambush here. If I had my light crossbow armed, I could start plunking. Whoops. To draw them out. But in this case, I'm just going to... Again, I'm not too worried about the fire bombs because my shield has good fire resistance. Now me whiffing is another story, but it's interesting, you know, like the last games in these series I played were Elden Ring. I did a run on that. And then I revisited the remaster of Demon's Souls. Now, the remaster of Demon's Souls, they keep a lot of things the same under the hood, but it just has a smoothness to it that... I'm stuck on a ledge here. This is getting awkward because I can't... The renowned Souls camera... I'm gonna die actually because I can't I can't see. Alright, that's humiliating. And that's gonna be a weird spot to have to get my souls. So I'll have to be careful about that. Yeah, usually I don't die in the Undead Burg anymore. But again, I'm not a master of getting good. It's just if I can do it, anybody could kind of approach. As you can see before, whoops, I had 10 Estus last time. Now I only have 8. So one of the mechanics in this game, if you're not familiar with it, is the idea of reinforcing the bonfires or kindling the bonfires or something. Oh, the battle axe is a good weapon. And what that means is it's sort of any bonfire you rest at is going to give you 5 Estus flasks. If you kindle them, if you get them to be stronger, they'll give you 10. If you kindle them a second time, which you can't do right away, give you 15. You get up to 20. And there's certain ones you absolutely want to do that because it's going to be sort of like bonfires you hit up all the time. In those cases, you want to... So what are we doing? We got a bleed of... The Morning Star is 83. The Battle Axe is a really good weapon at 95. I don't think it's got bleed, but I think it's... I think I've seen people like take the battle axe to the end of the game kind of stuff. All right, so let's So yeah, you can kindle the bonfires, and I'm not going to kindle them yet. Although it'd be probably pretty handy. Did I miss that guy? Was he one of the guys that was causing me problems on the platform? I might have missed this guy entirely, and that might have been why. Oh, no, because this is where... Okay. So the reason I'm hesitating there because I didn't want to swing and have my momentum carry me off the ledge. I don't know if there's like a sequence break speedrun thing you can do off of that roof. Oh, okay. Speedruns in this game are really fascinating because it's such an interconnected world and there is so much sequence breaking. I don't know if it's interesting at this point. I think, it's sort of been quote unquote solved. I think some speedrunners, they still do it, but at this point they're trying to like, again, you got a chest, but the chain goes backwards in a curve. I think at this point it's more like, knocking seconds or milliseconds off the clock. I don't think it's true tricks to be discovered kind of stuff. But maybe I'm wrong there. But a Souls game, especially like a Dark Souls like this, it's a very different thing your first time playing through and your second time, third time, fourth time, whatever, playing through. And the first time playing through, I tried to go in pretty cold. I wanted the magic, so to speak. Sort of exploring, figuring things out. And I know going in I'm going to miss a ton of stuff. It's just, there's no getting around it. But, okay, so there's a couple things we can do here. I've got a lot of souls. And there is a black knight down here. But I've got a lot of souls. So I might keep... Well, oh, you know what I could do? I can run back to that merchant without actually triggering anything. Because again, there's 5,000 souls worth of stuff I want to buy from that merchant. Thought I was hearing other footsteps. So I'm not going to rest at the bonfire because that would reset things. I'm just going to... deal with these guys. With extreme prejudice. Bow, 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 bow. Yeah, when they guard like that, you want to sort of kick their guard open. And I think in Elden Ring, that's actually like a skill you have to equip. I don't think you just get the kick.
Still keeping your then go ahead.
Okay, so let's see what we can get here for our first. Residence key, great. Bottomless box, great. Okay. So let's see how close we are to getting that last item. Have we been picking up souls here? So we need 3 grand. I think we're going to be well short. Okay. Now, there's a lot of like quality of life improvements that... Oh, we're getting close. That have been added to this game, and I don't know what was in the original and what wasn't. So I don't recall if you had to like use those souls one at a time in the old game. Or maybe that was demon souls, or I don't know. And here they implemented something where you could use 6 at a time or something like that. I don't know when it all worked out that way. But I honestly say, like, there's the Prepare to Die edition, which was the definitive edition for a while. Get the remastered. It includes a lot of touches that were really useful and helpful. So we want to go up here and allow this guy to do that. So now there's a couple things we can do here. Again, we have 2,400 souls. We're close to having the 3,000 souls, and I don't want to... But here's, again, I think one of the master key kind of things you can do. And if you go down there, there's this... Well, You know what? Let me start by trying the Black Knight, because I want to get those 3,000 souls. Again, it's one of those things where you can tackle something that's a little difficult to get some equipment that might be useful. As much as you want to sneak up on this guy, you can't. He's going to be a tough fight. So one thing I want to do is let's get him somewhere where I can have some space. So like up here might work. Let's heal. And now the trick to this fight is don't get hit. And then backstab him if you can. I'm not sure why I'm not backstabbing, to be honest with you. There we go. If you backstab him, that's going to put him down for a second so I can heal. And as you can see, like, we got a long way to go. But it's possible, right? When he's got that lunge, it's a good... if you can get the timing down, which I don't seem to be able to do. It's a good time to backstab him. I think I'm trying to get more behind him than I need to. Maybe that's the trick. I don't often use this axe, so maybe I'm sort of misjudging the spot. I think that should do it. You get a Titanite chunk. Sometimes you get their weapon. There's one Black Knight that speedrunners like to hit up, where you get the Black Knight halberd. And it's one of those things where if you get the Black Knight halberd, it's kind of one of the best weapons in the game, so you just sort of, it's hard not to use it. Okay, so now we've got the 3,000 souls we need for the repair box. So let's head back here. And there's a reason why I'm doing this, and I'll show it in a second.
Oh, you again. I hope you've brought plenty.
I sure have. Repair box. Here we go. Okay. So we don't need a shield. You know, we don't need... Now we could buy, I guess, a couple of fire bombs. There's nothing that we need from this guy anymore. We got the stone, we got the shield, we got the bottomless box, and we got the repair stuff.
Thank you kindly.
So now what you can do, especially if you want to be... this is basically useful if you want to be a dex build. This guy, basically, we're not going to use him much anymore, so...
Gone mad, have you? I'll tell you, you lousy rat. Yulia! Yulia! Oh.
So you got some bleed going there. So we get a humanity, which is always useful. That's one of the things you use to rekindle bonfires. It's also something you can use to return to your human form. But he also gives... Oops, if I can pick it up. The Uchigatana. If you want a dex build, the Uchigatana is an awesome dexterity weapon that can carry you through most of the game if you wanted to. And you can get it right here. So let's kindle a bonfire, because this is one that's worth kindling. So we've got 2 humanity up there next to my health bar. So the first thing you have to do is you have to reverse your hollowing. You can't kindle. So this is going to go from raisin skin to Instagram filter skin. And now we're going to kindle. We're going to offer our other humanity to boost this flame. And you can sort of see the bonfire itself, visually has gotten bigger. And so now every time we rest here, we're going to get 10 instead of 5. Now the trick with being human, aside from looking goddamn great in this thong, is that it opens you up to being invaded. You can see, like, in Demon Souls, it impacted your health. In this game, it doesn't. You get the same stats, which I really like that they separated that mechanic out. Because it was irritating. Give us other things to deal with by being human or not human. Don't make it that we also lose, part of our health. Alright, again, we're just sort of making our way through. We've already sort of explored... Whoops, is there a guy come behind me? Yeah, we've already sort of covered this area, so we don't need to tackle all the nooks and crannies. We got to make sure we don't get killed, but we don't have to... Now, I clear this tower just because he's going to take shots at us from behind while we're running around. So I want to make sure I'm not having to worry about that. These spear guys, I like the sword guys because they sort of just YOLO at you and you're like, okay. These spear guys, can be a lot more careful. So now we cleared the Black Knight. We want to make sure we go back down there because I think the Black Knight was guarding something. Now, lore-wise, there might be reasons why this Black Knight was here on this ledge looking this way. You can see he's sort of looking down into these lower areas. And so, again, Bonfireside Chat, Body Video, they probably have reasons. Let me make sure there's not something down this other side that can explain, like, yeah, like, there's stuff going on, and there's a reason why this knight happens to be right here. Which, again, is one of the things I like about Souls games, is everything feels deliberate. It's not entirely... They didn't just stick an enemy there to put a challenge. It's a deliberate kind of placement that they try and justify with lore, which I completely respect. So, last time we opened up this door, and I'll show you what's down here. I don't know how it's going to go, but again, this is one of those sequence breaks kind of things you can do. And it's a tricky fight that we're going to encounter. We're going to encounter sort of a mini-boss NPC guy named Havel. I pronounce it Havel. Maybe it's Havel. You can see he's not messing around, right? So the trick with him is that he will destroy you. He can basically one-shot you. So you just can't get hit. Now, not getting hit is not the hardest thing in the world. And it's very much like the Black Knight. You don't get hit. As you can see, like luckily I've got a shield that absorbs damage, but it blew all my stamina, right? So I can't. But you got to backstab him because, as you can see, he's so armored that you're doing absolutely nothing to him unless you can backstab. And if you do this, like, you can spend 20 minutes doing it. It's worth it, and if I can succeed, I'll show you why. But I did not. I think you definitely get a ring, and the ring that he drops allows you to carry extra weight, and you might get his shield. I don't know if you get his armor, though. So, there we go. Now, we had 1,000 souls on us, which is, that sucks to lose, but whatever. We didn't have any humanity on us, which is that 00 there, so we didn't lose anything there. We're only losing the souls. So I don't know if I'll make my way back down there, but, again, that's one of those sequence break things. If you have the patience, you can... Nope, I gotta back this out, because... Again, the trick is, for me, you gotta do it so you're only dealing with one at a time. And so if you get two at a time, it turns into a mess. And you might be better off just pulling back. There's also sequence breaking you can do if you just run past Havel. There's another door that I think you can open with the master key that takes you to a whole different area, and it's one of the ways you can... I was mentioning that Black Knight halberd. It's one of the ways you can get over to those areas. You know what? I might skip the crossbow guy. I might just skip all this. Nope, maybe not. Okay, so this now you're going to go up. Now you got to, you know, like in Demon Souls, they got the crystal lizards. There's that in this game here too. And there's one of them around here. I just don't know where. Now, I said I was going to skip all these guys. Apparently, I'm not. Maybe it's on the next level. But again, it's one of those things you got to be careful because what they do is as soon as they see you, they take off if they start wiggling around. I don't know if I missed it. Can't go up further. I must have missed it. So, first things first, we need to get some equipment going. We don't have anything. Let's get some fire bombs. Let's get some black fire bombs. And I'm going to put the guidance soapstone there so we can leave messages. Now, one of the things they did add here is if you flip through and then you hold down, it takes you to the top, you know, the thing in the first slot. That was not in the original game. They added that here. So that helps. So, looking around. First thing you want to do is you want to, again, file gate usually means boss. And they even said there was like a bull demon up ahead, you know, so we're going to start figuring that out. Okay. So we've cleared the flanks, and now we're going to... Can you see it up there? Maybe not. We're going to deal with our first sort of like boss after that Undead Asylum one. So you're running around, you hit a certain point on a thing, he's going to jump down, you want to run back. Again, most people probably know this game is 11 years old, but if you don't, this is how you want to deal with a Taurus demon. Because you get a plunge attack. Now, you got to be careful because if you go up there, he can actually jump up there, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some space and switch to the fire bombs because he's really susceptible to fire. So it's just a question of throwing the things and not getting hit when you do. Whoops, tried to roll through that. Failed. So I'm trying to basically get to the other side to have some more room to maneuver. Did I miss? I think that might be it. Ooh. I was going to use the black fire bombs that would do way more damage, but he's not that hard, so I'll just use the easier one, the weaker ones. So there we go. Get some humanity, get some homeward bone, which can take us back to the last bonfire we rested at if we wanted. Got 3,000 souls, so that's one way to get the souls you need if you want to buy some of the merchant's equipment. And then here's, for me, this was one of the first, like, whoa, moments of the world. Well, not quite yet. But if you've ever been into the Souls and like, oh, Sunbro, this is where it all comes from. This guy right here.
Ah, hello. You don't look hollow, far from it. I am Soler of Astora, an adherent of the Lord of Sunlight. Now that I am undead, I have come to this great land, the birthplace of Lord Gwyn, to seek my very own son. You find that strange? Well, you should. No need to hide your reaction. I get that look all the time.
That look right there.
Oh, aha. So I didn't scare you. I have a proposition, if you have a moment.
Usually you want to say yes, even if it's like, you know, one night for $1 million kind of proposition that's about to get... No, not really.
The way I see it, our fates appear to be intertwined. In a land brimming with hollows, could that really be mere chance? So what do you say? Why not help one another on this lonely journey? This pleases me greatly. Well then, take this. We are amidst strange beings in a strange land. The flow of time itself is convoluted, with heroes centuries old phasing in and out. The very fabric wavers, and relations shift and obscure. There's no telling how much longer your world and mine will remain in contact. But use this to summon one another as spirits, cross the gaps between the worlds, and engage in jolly cooperation. Of course, we are not the only ones engaged in this, but I am a warrior of the sun. Spot my summon signature easily by its brilliant aura. If you miss it, you must be blind.
All right. We're not quite done with him, I don't think.
Oh, hello there. I will stay behind to gaze at the sun. The sun is a wondrous body, like a magnificent father. If only I could be so grossly incandescent.
That might be it, but let me just double check.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
If only...
So certain things he's saying, like, the son's like a wonderful father. You know, there's a lot of lore things about, like, who is his father? Is it, you know, the main bad of the game? Praise the Sun sort of comes from this moment here. And again, for, you know, like, in 2012, this, I mean, I was playing on the Xbox 360, so the textures were garbage, and, you know, the frame rate wasn't always great, but it's sort of an impressive vista, right? You know, we made our way to the top of the world here. It feels like. So we can't open this door yet, I don't think. And we have to be careful here. You can sort of see scorch marks that are sort of hinting at what's to come. So you just want to hear the wing flapping. You just got to go for it. Did I make it? I mostly made it. All right. So once you do that, the first thing you want to do is you want to... And again, this is the moment where I was kind of like, whoa, because you get here, you kick the ladder. Because so far, you know, again, like I played Demon Souls and I've been playing this and I've sort of been making my way forward. And all of a sudden, you're back at this bonfire and you realize everything sort of is connected in a weird way. Not in a weird way, in a literal way. We also want to... I'm going to make that 1814. I want to get those up. Because that's going to allow me... You know, I could probably use the Zweihander two-handed at this point. But suddenly you realize that this all just very cleverly folded in on itself. And I was not honestly expecting that. Because again, you know, I bought this literally the moment it came out. I didn't know what I was getting into. And it was a very different kind of world design than what I was expecting or what I was used to. So there's a couple things you can do. You can go this way. There's the dragon that attacked us, attacked the ramparts up there. Since I don't have many souls, there's a couple things you can do. I don't know if I've ever actually killed that dragon outright. But you can sort of bait it to attack. And as long as you're hanging out against this wall, you should be fine. It's weak to lightning, so you can use this to apply lightning damage to your weapon. But what you can do is, if you can One thing you do is you can go down below with a bow and arrow in like 200 arrows and you can plunk its tail. A lot of the bigger creatures in this game, you can cut their tails off and get weapons. If you do that, you get something called the Drake Sword, which is a really good early game sword, but it's not something you... It's sort of like a... I don't want to say it's a crutch, but it's something... If you spend the time to do it, it's a good sword for a good chunk of the early game. Now, the problem I'm having here is that I want him to... You can get the dragon to jump down, and that's how you fight it, melee. But I don't know what does it. But the other thing you can do is you can just run by. Now, if you run by the Drake, you lose the ability to kill it. And I won't spend too much time here, but there's a way to bait it to jump down. Here we go. Nope. That's not the jumping down I wanted, because it's going to fly right back up before I can do anything. I do have a good fire-resistant shield, but I don't know if it's good enough. Nope. To handle... Fire's 85%. That is good, but I don't know if that's good enough to survive. Like this kind of thing where you just get raked and then you're standing in it. So the reason to try and bait it out is because one of my favorite swords in the game is right there. And it also sort of opens up a path to, again, let you sort of sequence break a little bit and save some time. I mean, it's fun trying to kill it, but, you know, you throw some lightning on your weapon there and you go to town. But, I've never been successful. And that's also how you can cut its tail off and get the Drake Sword if you want to do it a little faster. But otherwise, you just go down here and you can shoot it. It's sort of a tough-moving target, but... But then, if you don't want to do that, you go the other way. You want to be careful of these rats because they can poison you. Just like that. So this might be a negated run. They can also give you humanity, but their bite is toxic. And it lasts forever. So let's see how far we can get on our Estus supply. Yeah, if you can sequence break, you can get behind the dragon, you can unlock this gate, you get a bonfire that's literally right there. You know, there's a lot of good things that come from being able to open that gate. I'm going to show you another sequence break. You got this gauntlet going on right here, right? A lot happening there. So what you're going to do is we're going to skip it. If you can run, I'm going to do this now, because if you can run past it, you want to get through this gate before this guy can close it. Now, I let him close it just to block off any enemies. Now that's the basement key, so we're starting to get our stuff going here. So yeah, let's I think we want to open the gate because then it'll stay open. If we don't open the gate now, it'll be closed next time, or I don't know exactly how it works. So I'm going to open it, see who comes through, deal with them. Might just be this one guy at this point. So you remember we were talking to the forlorn guy right near the again, the halberd's a good weapon. The forlorn guy right near at the beginning of the game, and he was saying like, yeah, you can go up, but the elevator's broken. Well, here's a way to get to the elevator and fix it. Now these guys, a good friend of mine, sadly he passed away way too young. I think I was the one who got him into Dark Souls, and he was a massive fan. And he would farm these guys for their sword. It's called a Baldur's Side Sword. And there's only a couple places you can get it in the game. Like this guy, I don't know if he's got one or not. And it's a dex base weapon that he really liked. And I think he liked it because, one, solid damage for a dex weapon, and it had insane reach. So maybe that was like a PvP thing, or I don't recall. And I think of these 3 knights, only one of them has it. And so you can farm, and it's like a very remote chance to drop. But, yeah, so he would farm it, because again, he loved playing Souls. He would just sit there and, put down a sign to help other people out for that jolly cooperation, etc., etc. And, would farm until he got that sword. And then in this game, I think he would farm to get a couple of them, because then you could get one that had fire damage, one that had lightning, so he would get a couple different options going. Okay, again, this time I'm going to be a little more careful about these rats. You see the build-up going on there, right? Now, rats can drop humanity, which is sort of... You think about... Again, it's not random that rats would, It's because, they probably pick over the corpses and stuff. So yeah, so it's not random. All right. So now that we've taken care of that, I don't know if they can actually close the gate anymore. Let me just double check to make sure. I think that part is done. So now, let me do what I set out to do here. So again, the whole point of this is to get through to sequence break and to repair the elevator. Pay attention when you're on elevators, because you never know what you're going to find, like looking down. So there we are. So now, again, the world design, it takes us right back to Firelink Shrine. And again, it's one of those things where you're just like, holy cow, like how they were able to make this all connect just forever impresses me. Because, we just sort of came, from up there somewhere down the elevator. Let me see if I've got any souls. What I should be doing is we tackled the first boss, and we've gotten some levels. So we've made some good progress. And I might have to wrap up this first session. And it's sort of like a checklist of things when I do a game. I'm like, okay, I'm going to sequence break that. I'm going to repair this elevator so that I'm working from that bonfire instead of the ladder, and I can skip all of this. And But I'm going to show you one other thing. As you're going up, pay attention, because you always want to, like, that side, it's a gap, but this side, it's a platform, which means you should absolutely go there. And there's going to be some messages telling you, hey, try rolling. So this is a jump. This is, for me, one of the hardest jumps in the game. Did I get it? Nope. And if you miss it, it's a bit of a haul to get back. Now, the reason why I don't fight these skeletons, because I think they keep coming back. Oh, there's some stuff here I forgot. Yeah. But yeah, that jump I really struggle with because for me, I don't feel like I get the right amount of speed. So what you want to do is you want to sort of trigger it and get off, because again, it's only this side. I feel like I don't get enough speed to do the true jump roll by just going straight back. So I feel like I need, for me personally, to sort of hook around a little bit. But then, of course, it throws your aim off. So again, we're going to take this, and as soon as you see the platform, hop off. And again, it's one of those things where, like, I probably rode that elevator 20 times, and then finally I'm like, wait a minute. What exactly, you know? So again, I'm going to do this, and nope. All right, I'm not going to bore you with that, but that is absolutely something you want to do. The whole point of this was we were trying to continue up that elevator. We're not ready to go that way anyway, so. Oh. Again, not an NPC, that's just another player. So I'm going to rest here to restore everything. I'm not going to, this now doesn't matter which elevator I take. We can take either one. We're going to make our way up to this church. And again, because of how the really brilliant level design is, you can sort of see like where my heart's been is sort of where the scarring is. Because of the really brilliant level design, we're actually not that far. You know, if we were to get killed, it's not a big deal because we're not that far from the nearest bonfire. But we're going to try and deal with this guy. He's another one of those, don't get hit. And he's got a tower shield. You gotta be mindful of, because he's gonna do too much damage. B, he can hit you with it. Sorry, not do too much. It'll block your damage. So you gotta really be judicious on where you hit him from. I don't think you can backstab things this big. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, so it looks like he got a little healing. I partly interrupted him. Now, I've tried to do this. I mentioned you can get the Uchigatana. That thing does, like, no damage to this guy. So I feel like I spent, like, a week circling him. Now you can see the shield totally. All right. And I think because he had that white stuff going on, he won't come back. Like, that's a one-time enemy. But this is the reason why you do it. You want that Firekeeper soul. You gotta sort of be careful of everything going on here. This symbol here is a Gravelord summoning sign. And what this does is I think it summons you into a world and makes everything more difficult. Which again, I mentioned my friend who passed away. One of the things he would do is he would do that. He would, throw down Gravelord signs, like coordinate online and, put up challenges for people that wanted to. So I think the ones that have the side sword are the ones that have this round parrying shield. So maybe this is one of the guys that could give you. Again, if they start to drink, you got to get on them, because if you can hit them fast enough, they lose the effect. So that's something new that we haven't encountered yet. Got to be really careful here, because it's just an absolute mess of enemies. Now, if you're smart about it, you'll either pull them like this, so you're only dealing with one at a time. But you can also, if you have a good enough weapon, like maybe the halberd would have been one. You just hit a bunch of them at once with a sweep. Yeah, you see, they're still coming. Stairs are a good thing because the difference in elevation can throw enemies off. So we've cleared the mass. Now we got to deal with this guy. Oh, but he fell, so that's going to be a pain. So then the other thing we can do is we can go this way. You got to be careful with this guy just going at him because of that little shield. I think that's like a parrying shield. He will light you up. So you can't just go gung-ho. You got to sort of... I find it's better to react. I'm going to kick him and see what that does. Again, he might have been somebody that could drop the Baldur's side sword, but they're tough to get. I never deliberately farm them. Like I said, my friend did, and if I get one, sort of, pay respects or whatever, I might use it for a little while because he was so into that one sword for some for reasons. So here you go.
Still human, are you? Then I am in luck. Could you help me? As you can see, I am stuck without recourse.
Shit. I don't know how long I've been muted for. The master key comes through.
Thank you. Yes, sincerely. I am Knight Lautrec of Karim. I truly appreciate this, and I guarantee a reward. Only later.
So he's one of the NPCs that has like a long, not a long, but he's got like a side quest going on.
Sorry, your reward will have to wait.
I'm gonna burn through his. That laugh, right? So if you remember in Demon Souls that we played on the channel, there was a guy that was imprisoned and you free him, and then he had some sinister sounding, oh, now I can get back to work kind of dialogue going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to go... Here's what we'll do. This might be... I might wrap up this first session very soon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take care of one last thing. I'm going to follow up on that guy we just freed. Whoops, here he is. You want to kill him because... Well... Again, the height difference really throws him. Now, again, like he should be done. That should be it for him. Or her, I don't know. And again, like that enemy is, we haven't seen one before, but there's a reason why. And my understanding in the lore, and again, this is Vadi Vidya, definitely Bonfire Side Chat. So those guys sort of, I don't know who sends them. I don't know if it's, in the opening they mentioned the scaleless dragon, Seath, I think. And I don't know if it's sort of his group but basically anywhere there is sort of a dragon, there's one of those people to hang out. And they sort of keep an eye on what's going on. And I think in this case, the dragon is, of course, that Drake on the bridge, right? So, it's not random that he's there. They keep tabs on the dragons that are left in the world. So as you can see, here's the guy we just freed, and he's right across from our Firekeeper Shrine lady. Now, what these NPCs do is they do two things. If they're alive, the bonfire upstairs remains kindled. If they're gone, the bonfire is gone. The other thing is, if we find Firekeeper souls, which we found one behind that giant knight up in the church, it can make your Estus flasks heal a little more. So now our Estus flask, you can see, is an Estus +1. So now again, there's a whole story with this guy. Let's talk to him.
Ah, hello there. I have your reward. Please, accept it. I am grateful to you for freeing me. Not enough for you? Well, let's not be greedy now.
So the sunlight medals are like a reward you can hand in with one of the factions, the co-op faction.
By the Lords, your face.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Your humanity is really slipping.
Oh, in-game.
But there are methods. Most fools have more humanity than they know what to do with. Now, who do you imagine will make the best use of it?
So this,
Our futures are murky. Let's not be.
yeah, let's exhaust this dialogue. I think we have at this point.
Our future.
Okay. So yeah, here you go. You have he's got an interesting backstory. Spoiler alert, just like in Demon Souls, who starts murdering all the NPCs, he'll murder your Fire Maiden Shrine, the Fire Maiden here. And when he does that, it takes away basically your most important centralized bonfire. It really makes the game a hassle. But it also ends up, creating this other side story where then you have to go down and hunt him and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And I think maybe you can restore the bonfire. I don't recall. But there's something else you can do. And that something else is you just kick him right off the ledge. And you kill him. Then you quit the game. Because quitting the game and coming back is a way to sort of reset the area. Now, he fell off the ledge. You can't get anything he might have dropped. But if you reset the game, it puts it here on the ledge, and you pick it up. You get some humanity. 5 humanity is a nice amount. And you also get the Ring of Favor and Protection. Ring of Favor and Protection is one of the best rings in the game. And you can get it right away. Basically, what it does is it'll say it boosts everything. Hit points, stamina, load. But you can never take it off, so it's cursed. Now, you don't want to take it off. And here, I'm going to put it on and watch the bars, the red and the green on the upper left. Not bad, right? It's a little bit. Every little bit helps. You don't want to take that ring off for most of the game. At some point, that little bump you're getting doesn't matter. So you can take it off because you've gotten your stuff so leveled that you can handle. You can handle not having that little bit, and other rings become more important. But for the early part of the game, it's really a boon. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm might have a little bit more time, I think. I'm trying to gauge. Let me reverse my hollowing, which again opens us up to being invaded, but it allows us to summon. The sunlight medal, like I said, is the co-op item. And to get into that covenant, you need to have, I think, like a 30 faith. I think 30, maybe 25. It's high. Is it faith? Faith, yes. Mine, as you can see, is an 11. It's not very high. But if you help people, every time you help somebody, it lowers that requirement by 5. So you can either get your faith up to 30 or you can help 5 people. And then I'll knock it down to like a 5 requirement. And then you can join, and then, you get those sunlight medals. I don't know if it has extra things where you're more likely to show up in people's worlds because you're in the co-op covenant. I don't exactly know how that works. Oh. This is the thing if somebody drops a lot of faith. I think if somebody dies here with a lot of faith, you get one of these creatures. I've almost never seen them. I don't know what you get for... Okay, you get twin humanities. Okay, so you're getting a little extra humanity going. Okay, so let's head back up here. So again, we got to deal with that swarm again. But luckily... Oh, and this guy. But luckily that dancing guy is going to be gone. Here's the thing. How much of this can I run by is what I'm kind of curious, because now I got to watch him. I think he has an Estus, so I want to stay close. You know what? I'm going to go for it. Look at that glistening skin. That was a mistake going for it. Too distracted by the glistening skin. Dark Souls, you remastered son of a bitch. You look great. Okay, so we're going to head up here. The reason why we want to be human is because we get these signs. So who's this? That's just a general helper. We're going to bring him in. But this is, remember, this is the guy from before, the Sunbro. So we want to bring him in. And I'll bring in the other human player because, again, like, he's in the co-op guild. It gives him his sunlight medals. And I always, like, if somebody's going to take the time to put their sign down, like, they're doing that for fun, right? They're not doing it because... So we're going to bring in Knight Solaire because it helps, I think, with his story. And then we're going to bring this guy in as well, because why not? So there's the Sunbro. He's going to help us out. And then let's... bring him in as well. Pact Maker Ren. And then you want to... I use gestures, when this guy comes in, assuming it connects. One of the things they added to this game is... Oops, turn around. One of the things they added to this is the ability to, like, sort of password protect your... multiplayer, which means a couple different things. It makes it so you can sort of set up your sign so only one other person can find it, which is if you wanted to sort of co-op this game with somebody in particular, it helps with that. The friend I mentioned that passed away, it was Bloodborne, I think that's the first one that had that. And so he and I and my brother would set up that password so the three of us could jump into each other's games. And we basically, in an awkward way, we basically co-opt almost the entirety of Bloodborne. the trick is basically, you have one person go through the first time, summon the other two. All right, so here's our next boss. Now, you gotta be careful. You're trying to, again, like most creatures, if you can cut off its tail. I think somebody cut off. Oh, no, we did. Oh, there we go. Now we cut off its tail. So you see we get an axe. Again, the difference in altitude can really help. Okay, one down, and then the trick is you want to beat that guy because the second guy is going to come down, who's half beaten, but he can blow fire, so he's tougher in that sense. And again, the altitude of the roof can really help with the fire. He'll blow it above you or whatever. So, and there we go. We've beaten our next boss. We got a sunlight medal because we had a co-op bro with us. And I didn't get to say thank you. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how I can get down to these layers, but you can't. You just have to bypass them up the ladder. And again, as you make your way up, it's just sort of this vista. You sort of see things where you can go later on in the game up there and beyond those walls. And here we are. First bell. All right. So the first of 2 bells has been rung. I guess at some point I need to get some armor. Again, you can't get off any of those layers. And then I should be an MP. There we go.
Greetings. I am Oswald of Career, the Park. Thou art a friend. For thee, old, cometh thou to confess, or to accuse? For indeed, all sin is my domain.
I don't know about... Let's learn that gesture, baby. Well, what is it, of course? Let's see what we can purchase. Purging stones. Okay, curses. That's good because curse sucks. So I don't know how you report invaders. I don't know what that actually does. I've never really done it. Poison resistance seems like something that could be really useful. But I'm not going to spend the money on it now. I don't need absolution. Do I? Oh, I do because I killed the merchant. So basically, if you kill an NPC... it could be a bit of a problem. But if you come here and pay the souls, you get absolution for having killed that NPC. I don't actually know what happens if you kill NPCs. Because I tend not to murder hobo these games. So I don't know what happens most of the time. I often do kill that opening merchant because the Uchigatana is such a good dex weapon, and I'm like, yeah, it's good to have it, right? In case I feel that calling, hear that calling. So now we can sort of head out this other direction. And remember, we sort of did a little sequence break by skipping you know, when I open the gate in a weird way. So there's a whole area that I haven't been to yet, and I think there's some things worth getting there. But the other thing you can do... first and foremost is not run around with 12,000 souls. So let's take care of that first. So we're going to head over here. I wonder what the armor, you know, because all the mechanics work slightly differently. So I assume the shield blocks 100% of the damage, but it blows through your stamina. So maybe the armor makes it so the stamina hit is less. So like when Havel one-shotted me, maybe enough got through my shield and hit my stamina that just blew through that and the whole thing didn't work. You want to come over here early because you get your first introduction to... Again, bells ringing because other players are ringing the bell up above. So when I did it, probably other players heard mine.
Oh, forgive me. I was absorbed in thought. I am Siegmeyer of Katarina. Quite honestly, I've run flat up against a wall. Or a gate, I should say. The thing just won't budge. No matter how long I wait. And oh, have I waited. So here I sit, in quite a pickle, weighing my options, so to speak.
Always with weird laughs, although this guy is a good guy.
Still closed. Still closed.
Make sure I exhaust all of his dialogue.
Still closed.
Okay, I think we did. So, there's a lot of things about Dark Souls that make it a classic. You know, the sort of open-ish world design, you know, the story, and one of the things also is the NPCs. Now, Siegmeyer is sort of a classic. And with good reason. Okay, this is going to seem weird. I'm going to get my intelligence up to 14, and I'll explain that later. Basically, I'm trying to get my strength and dex to start with up to 20, and we'll see how that goes. Intelligence 14 is because it lets me cast a spell Light, which helps me deal with one of the most irritating areas of almost any video game I've played in a long time. And here we go. We meet...
Well, you must be a new arrival. I'm Andre of Astora. If it requires smithing, then speak to me.
Let's learn that gesture, baby. And let's exhaust this dialogue.
Most weapons and armor are mighty sturdy indeed, but every hunk of metal has its breaking point. If you notice your ability running low, it's time to repair. You can ask a blacksmith like myself, or do it on your own with a grindstone. The nice thing about weapons, they never betray you, so pay them a little respect, eh?
So I guess I should repair our equipment because, I can do it at bonfires because I have the repair kit, but let's keep going.
There are two types of weapon forging. There's reinforcement and there's ascension. Reinforcement is simple. It strengthens the weapon and nothing more. A simple task for any blacksmith. Hell, you could even do it yourself with a smith box. But ascension's a finer art. It alters a weapon's properties. Ascension is the territory of we blacksmiths. A smith box just won't do the trick. Start out with reinforcement. When that loses its charm, you can consider ascension. As you've noticed, this land is flush with the mad and wicked. You won't make it through the night without employing my services. You can forge armor.
So again, sort of explain the mechanics of upgrading your equipment.
Forging armor is even easier.
Demon Souls had a really obtuse, kind of annoying equipment upgrade path, right? You had to get like this kind of stone for that kind of stone for those. And it's like, okay, oh my god, all right. And so it could be really tedious trying to sort of plan out what you're doing. And basically impossible on your first playthrough. Here they sort of, I think, replaced it with like Titanite shards, chunks, slabs, or something like that. So you still need specialized business when you want to do like a fire weapon or, you know, lightning or something. But it doesn't matter like if you're using like like an edged weapon or a blunt weapon or whatever. So it's a little bit more simple. And it's for the better. There's a lot of things. So like this is obviously the second time they had a shot at this kind of formula. Losing the collectible healing items for the Estus flasks was genius. And simplifying how you... simplifying how you upgraded for a bit was also a bit of genius. So here you can get the weaponsmith box and the armorsmith box if you want to reinforce out in the world. Crest of Artorias, 20,000 souls. That's something worth grabbing if you find yourself with 20,000 souls after beating a boss. It'll really make a section of the game a little easier to navigate. So I usually grab it after, you know, we got 12,000 for beating the gargoyles. Obviously, that's not enough. But other bosses, you start to get up there, and it's not a big deal. Again, we can sort of skip all the equipment because we've grabbed that shield with a little bit of a sequence break. So we can modify... so yeah, it says special embers required for blacksmiths to ascend weapons. So you got to go find items in the world to get your weapons up to certain levels, or to get your weapons certain abilities like lightning damage, fire damage. We could reinforce weapons. I don't know if I have one that I'd want to reinforce at the moment. Because, you know, I'm not sure what I'm going to stick with yet. Halberd does 110. Battle axe does 95. The halberd...
Don't get yourself killed.
What the halberd's like? It's been a while since I've used, you know, because there's certain weapons you get into ruts, certain weapons. If you head down here, you're going to encounter your first Titanite demon. Now, you can fight him if you want. It's not impossible. It can be a little tedious. The stairs can help, or you can just run by him. Oops. You have to actually run by him now. And if you can run by him, you know, you come here to the Darkroot Garden. I wonder if the axe would have done more damage to... I don't know what weapon does damage to Titanite demons because they are basically made out of metal. So you can't just chip away at them with like a dex weapon, as I sometimes run with. So here you go. You come here and you get this little path. And what you can do is... Oop, make sure you don't get... What speedrunners will do is they will... I think that takes care of bleed damage. They'll burn some humanity, right? So we have one. So what I've seen speedrunners do is they'll blow enough humanity to get up to 4. Okay? Now, if you get up to 4 humanity does a lot of different things, but one of the things it does is it increases your item discovery rate. So they'll come down here and they will... Again, it's all speedrun stuff. I think that's one of those lizards, so I'm going to see if I can get it. Now, there's not some convoluted thing. Like, they show up once and that's it. Large Titanite shards are good. I think, though, like, if you miss it, I think you can just go find it again. Like, I don't think there's some weird trick like Demon Souls where you have to beat the boss and then you have to do this and then it uncovers that. I think you just do it. And it's still there. But don't quote me on that. But again, they simplified that a little bit. I want to go here because I think this is an armor set. That's good enough. Again, important part of armor isn't how protective it is. It's oops, how good it looks. So let's does it not come with a helmet? We'll go with this gargoyle helmet. Let's see if we can. Basically, we want to be able to fast roll, which is one advantage to staying naked. And again, it's sort of like, you got to get your equipment weight under like 25%, or, there's a whole number to it. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but it's a reason to. Let's see, what is my equipment rate? I think it's 25%, so 12.6 out of 61. So now I'm back to fast rolling, so that's something, I guess. What you want to do is you want to come down here, and you want to find a Black Knight. I think he's down here. You want to find the Black Knight, you want to deal with him, because if you get lucky with your 4 humanity and your slightly increased weapons drop, you can get his weapon. If you get his weapon, it's one of the best sort of straight-up weapons in the game. It's the Black Knight halberd I was mentioning. And so you just deal with this guy like you did the other guy, right? You don't get hit. You bait him into attacking, and you go for a backstab. And then you hope you get lucky. Now, in the old days, like speedrunners now, I don't think they rely on the Black Knight halberd. I don't know what the current speedrun weapon kind of stuff is. But it used to be I would watch speedruns, and if they didn't get this drop, they just killed the run. Again, like going back to the older games. Again, I'm not an amazing player, but they definitely got easier. I'm not gonna. I mean, they definitely get easier the further you go back. Like Demon's Souls, a lot of it's really not that challenging for me at this point, given getting through like Elden Ring or Bloodborne or Dark Souls 3. So this game in its DLC sort of started the trend. Oh, I got the halberd. There we go. Started the trend of a certain type of boss. And it's great, but it's specific. Okay, so we need a 32 strength, 18 dex. We have a 15 dex, 20 strength. But I think what that means we can do is, I think we can two-hand it. Now, I don't know if we want to. I'm not a very good player, but yeah, I got that. So let's see what happens if I two-hand it. I feel like I still don't have it. Yeah, I've still got the... So maybe the dex doesn't carry through, if that makes sense. Maybe you need the dex and it's just the strength that... So now we've got this really good shield. We've got one of the best weapons in the game. Again, we've sort of set ourselves up pretty nicely. And that's why I've been dumping a lot of points into strength and dex, because I know like these weapons are out there. If I can get that 32 going pretty quickly. Now the Grass Crest shield is another great shield, and it might even be better in some ways than the dragon. It doesn't block 100% damage, but it boosts your stamina recovery, I think. So it's almost worth it for that. And then, again, you can find your way here. Now let's see if I picked up any, because there's a bonfire. Let's see if I picked up any... think some people boost this one, but I don't. I don't use it very much. See, now that I know I need that dex of 18, working on that a little bit. I think even if you have if you two-hand a weapon and that crest shield goes on your back, I think that still counts for the stamina bump. So I think there's a ring over there that's worth getting if you're like really good at this game. I'm not, so I'm just gonna go for it and show you where we ended up. There might actually be like an underground passage here that I run. Oh, there it is. Oops, why am I not going in? Nope, just pick up the stuff and go. Okay. I was trying to show you, like, again, I don't know if you remember, very early in the game we ran and got the Astora longsword and the shield we've been using. This is the other end of it. So you see it's sort of all connected in a weird way. Not in a weird way, in a really ingenious sort of way. And again, like, you know, like I was saying, this is a very different game, your first playthrough and your future ones, because once you know what you want, like that Black Knight halberd, you know, you just say, okay, you can turn like a 100-hour game into like a 10-hour game. If you're good. I'm not good, so it still takes me a while. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the classic, send it back up. You could fight these guys, obviously. They're a hassle. I've never gotten good at them. I don't know if you can make them fly off the ledge, though. But I'm gonna. So again, if you remember, there's that grass path. I know there's 1,000 souls or whatever I'm leaving behind there, but I don't care. There was one item I didn't pick up. So you can plunk this guy with magic. You can plunk this guy with arrows. Or you can just fight him. Or you just run by. Because the way you can fight him is there's this ledge here, which again, I didn't realize was here for my first like 3 or 4 playthroughs. And then you can just do whatever you're going to do for, you know. Arrows are the easiest way, and you just sit there for like 20 minutes hitting it in the head. You can fight it if you're fast enough by, you know, hitting its front claw. Oh, but I had 4 humanity. That is worth going back for. Crap. Well, I mean, yeah, it kind of is. Now that ledge, I think, also helps you run by him. Curious, see, that's not enough. I was curious how much ammo I had. Did I have enough to try and kill it? And I don't, so yeah, you can sort of get by him with that ledge. Wow. Damn it. All right. Well, I think that's a good place a good place to stop this run. And we'll pick it up again. Obviously, like, I have a blast with this game, and hopefully this was, you know, again, everybody who's going to play this game has already played it, but hopefully it's fun to to go through it. Again, Black Lodge Trivia Night. Thanks again for checking it out. Here on the YouTube, we have actual plays of RPGs, tabletop RPGs. You know, I get into CRPGs like this. Darklands at the moment as well, still going on. If you prefer audio versions of our podcasts and actual plays, just look us up wherever you get your podcasts at Black Lodge Trivia Night. We're on Spotify, you know, whatever. You can follow us on Blue Sky, X, and those are both Black Lodge RPG. I don't know. We're on Mastodon as well. So just search for Black Lodge Trivia Night and hopefully we show up. Anyway, thanks again. There'll be more, hopefully in the near future. Definitely more Darklands. Another actual plays coming up this Friday. So thanks again. Take care and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.